Hey you guys, my name is Andy and I'm in the process of buying my first business. I got introduced to Paul through a mutual friend, and he actually invited me out here to ask all the questions I had about buying my first business, and I get to film it as well. So I really appreciate you kind of sitting down and letting me ask you these questions. Firstly, like, how did you get into basically buying your first business and, you know, building from there?
Interesting story. So I was working W-2, corporate America, corporate finance, and the wife was getting ready to have second kid, and we wanted to replace her income.
Okay.
So we started looking for a business that she could run part-time, and it just happened to be that my brother Bob had gotten laid off, and he got a huge severance, and I went and talked to him. I was like, let's pool our money, and let's go buy a business together. So that's kind of how it originally got started, and ended up buying a small business right then.
You buy the first business. How quickly did it take for you to buy business number one to business number two? And this is early 2000s, right?
Yeah, early 2000s. God, second business was probably 3 to 4 years later.
Okay. And then how did you find them? And when we go inside, we'll kind of go into what to do in 2026, but how did you find them back in the early 2000s? What businesses to buy?
They were all on market, listed with brokers. I just happened, the first guy, the flooring business, I actually knew the broker. I played soccer with him.
Okay.
So it was actually the first business I looked at and I bought it.
Huh.
So the numbers looked good. It was right at a 3 multiple, and thought it was very easy to jump in and do it. So, but yeah, all of them, for the most part, have all been on market.
Now, again, coming from, you know, the mutual friend that we have, he says that you've accumulated about a $20 million net worth kind of since then of building these businesses. Why did you start Biz by Pro? Why are you creating the content? Why are you out here on social media, like, you know, when you don't necessarily need to, it seems like?
No, I don't need to. I feel like at age 58, I'm kind of in a spot in my life where I kind of like just want to pay it forward. And I've understood how to do this over the last 25 years. And for the first 10, I made mistake after mistake after mistake. And I feel like I have a repeatable process in place now that is a plug and play. I've already done this. I know how to value things. I can look at financial statements and tax returns and P&Ls and balance sheets in 3 or 4 minutes and tell you what it's worth, because I've looked at 1,500 deals. So I can teach people that. Right? It's definitely very teachable, and I feel like what's taken me 25 years to accumulate, I can teach people inside my community to do it in 10.
So starting at level 1 of, okay, I'm ready to buy a business, step 1. I'm assuming, all right, I got to have some sort of capital. What is, in your opinion, the minimum amount of capital that I need to feel comfortable enough for some sort of down payment?
25 grand.
25
But
grand. Okay.
realistic 50.
Okay.
But you could maybe scrape by with 25.
Okay. And then, and I'm assuming with a 25 grand, you basically either go seller finance or an SBA loan, correct?
Right. Most likely SBA, yeah.
Okay. And so SBA loan, what does that generally look like?
Well, you got to put a minimum of 5% down.
Okay.
And if you put 5% down, then the seller has to carry 5%.
Okay.
And then the SBA will loan you 90.
Okay.
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 Super easy to qualify. You just need anything over a 650 credit score, which if you're below 650, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I got that at least.
And the other thing too that's really interesting on the SBA is, because a lot of people would ask me, is like, well, I don't feel comfortable running a business. I don't have experience running a business. I don't have a background in business or finance or management or anything like that. That's not an issue either. So they're going to lend money based off the financials of the business, not necessarily you.
Really?
Okay? So the loan stands on the net income of the business.
Okay, so we're going to use a plumbing company as an example. Plumbing company does, so if you do the 50,000 at the 5% down, what would that would
$1 million business.
That'd be about $1 million business.
Yep.
So they're going to approve the loan on the $1 million business. Now, just confirming, that $1 million of debt goes onto you personally.
Yes.
Correct. And so if the business fails, you owe the bank $1 million.
Yep. And they're going to come get your stuff.
And they're going to come get your stuff for you.
Right.
Okay.
Including your house.
So there is a, like this is a very
There's
serious,
a little risk.
There's a serious risk of going into it, but it's
massively serious, right? So that's why I talk about it's so important to seek out a subject matter expert in that space and help you.
If I'm going $1 million in debt, I want as much information as possible.
Yeah. So that's why I just tell all my people, join my community or join someone else's community. Just don't do this by yourself. I mean, it's just, if all you got in your entire life is 50 grand and you're investing in that without seeking an expert to help you through that process, to make sure that you've caught all the red flags, you've valued it properly, your due diligence is done correctly, all that sort of stuff. You cannot do this by yourself. There's just too much at risk.
So we know the risk side of it, how we're getting the money. Now, in today's world, we have a few different options of actually finding the business. You have your, I'm assuming, word of mouth of asking around. You have what you did as a broker. Are there any other ways to find the businesses?
I would say those are mainly the two, but you got on-market business brokers, websites, all that sort of stuff, right? And we got an aggregator here in BizBuyPro that scrubs all those websites all across the United States. So it just, instead of you coming and hunting and pecking for stuff and spending 4 hours, you can be on my aggregator and do the same thing in 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So that helps quite a bit. And we weed out a bunch of the stupid stuff and low price stuff and filter out companies that we don't want to talk about.
So I'm in Jacksonville. I can look to see, here's the companies for sale that are in Jacksonville.
Yes, without a doubt, yes.
Gotcha.
And then the large umbrella of off-market. So those are companies that are currently not for sale. So it's off-market. That's what that definition is.
So on-market means business owner has approached a broker. Hey, I'm ready to sell. Go find me a buyer. Off-market is someone everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. They're not currently for sale. So in essence, you're going to call that person, hey, I'm interested in buying your plumbing company. Oh, I didn't think about selling it. I'm not ready, but yeah, I'll talk to you about it. So that's off-market, right?
Gotcha.
Off-market also work in your network. So talk to everybody at your church and your kids' schools and just whoever you run with, let them know you're looking for a business. Because it's amazing. Someone's going to know. Your CPA, I mean, CPA is probably one of the best spots.
Really? Okay.
Right? Because they're going to know immediately, like, hey, I'm thinking about selling next year, that sort of stuff. Help me get my books in place and things like that. So I had my personal HVAC guy came here a year and a half ago. One of his guys no-showed. So he showed up personally, the owner of the company.
Okay.
And I noticed he was in his mid-60s. And I just started talking to him for a while. I work here out of the house. And I asked him, I was like, when are you going to retire? He says, a couple years. And I said, I want to buy your company. He's like, okay. So I talked to him once a quarter now. So it can be something stupid like that, right? Just let everybody you know, everybody you talk to, that you're interested in buying a business.
Now that brings up my next question of, I would love to buy an HVAC business. I know absolutely nothing about that industry. When you're going into finding these businesses, and it seems like home service businesses are the type, like how much knowledge do you need to have? Like how does that work? Because you've bought multiple businesses in different industries, obviously not being an expert in each of those industries.
HVAC's a little tough because it's kind of technical. It's going to be hard to get an SBA loan on HVAC, plumbing, and electrical right now because they want you, the owner-operator, to be licensed.
Gotcha.
There's some workarounds underneath the table sort of stuff, but it's going to be very hard to get loans, at least right now. That new SOP just came out from the SBA in June of 25, and they change stuff all the time.
Okay.
But it's a requirement to be licensed right now, so that's going to be tough. But to answer your question is, that really comes into play about, hey, I don't know about HVAC. Can I be able to run this? Well, if it's you and two helpers in a van, that's problematic because you got to know everything. However, if you're buying a company that's worth $5 million and they have 14 vans and 14 leads and probably have a general manager in place then you don't need to know anything about HVAC. So the smaller the company, the more you're going to be hands-on and you're going to need to know and have requisite knowledge of how to run that company. The bigger the company, the easier it's going to run. You would think that's actually kind of counterintuitive, right?
But the risk goes up, and you're really going to be more so looking on numbers and SOPs and just building the business as a whole.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. So what is usually the timeline of finding that business, getting approved for the loan, and then to the point to where okay, I am now the owner of this business?
I would say it's going to take you 3 to 6 months to find a business.
Okay.
You could come in day one and have one within a week. Okay. You're going to have to seriously look at 100 companies. And for every seriously 100 companies you look at, you're going to make offers on 10 of them. 1 or 2 of those is going to get accepted.
Okay.
And you're going to close one of those 2.
Okay.
Right. So 90 days to 6 months to actually get one under contract that's kind of gone through some preliminary analysis, right? And then from that time frame, approved letter of intent, and maybe a little bit of due diligence, so what I call preliminary due diligence, to closing is probably another 3.
Okay.
So now I've brought in the SBA lender and going through that entire process, putting a pro forma and a budget together, and they do their underwriting and all that sort of stuff. And then due diligence will probably take 30 days that you most likely will hire somebody external to do your due diligence, a firm that specializes in that. And that may take 2 or 3 weeks to get done. So 3 to 6 months to find one. And then once you find one and you're ready to proceed and everybody's agreed on price, probably another 3 months to close.
Okay, awesome. And then when you get started in the business, one of the stories in researching you was you almost missed payroll the first time because you had a cash flow issue. Walk me through the parameters of entering this business. You know that you have this loan that you need to pay every month. Let's just use this hypothetical of about $1 million business. You get the loan. What should you be looking for in cash flow to say this is a good, profitable business that I'm running that I can get on my returns?
Yeah, thanks for bringing up that old wound that I have. Super
I did my
scary.
research.
I won't sleep tonight now. So yeah, I mean, it's funny that you would think me coming a CPA and being in corporate finance for 10 years, you'd think I would have understood all that sort of stuff. No, it's completely different. Understanding the mechanics and how things weave into each other in a small business, from collections to payables and all this sort of stuff. It's very complex, right? So 90% of the businesses fail because of lack of cash, not because of lack of customers or a good product or a good service you're putting out. It's lack of cash, right? A lot of people have heard this term, but nobody believes it, is you can actually grow too fast, right? You have to finance that growth. I can't go from $1 million to $3 million in revenue in one year without preparing for that. I got to go get lines of credit. I got to go buy trucks and borrow money and all that sort of stuff. And you have to finance that growth, right? So I think we started with the flooring company. I think we started with like $20,000 of working capital. Okay. And working capital is I take over day one, and on the second day I could have payroll.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the third day I got rent and all that sort of stuff. And if I'm a net 30 with my customers, I do a $10,000 floor job on day one. I'm not getting paid till 30 days later, but I got all these expenses in between, right? So then in essence, that's working capital. Gotcha. And we didn't understand that, and we really didn't analyze it. And that's super scary. And it's really tough. So how I look at the working capital needs on this company is completely different on the working capital needs on this company.
Gotcha. So everything is going to be completely different.
Yep. But that's super important, and another reason why you hire somebody like me.